Everybody, welcome to Creative Lunch. Thanks for being here. If you've never hung out for Creative Lunch before, it's all about spending time munching on tasty ideas. And every week, incredible creatives come and are interviewed about their creative process, how they turn their dreams into reality, and what it means to create with purpose. And our guest today is Cocovan. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Matthew, for having me.
Of course.
On this Creative Lunch.
Yeah.
I think here in France, it's almost a creative dinner. It's
yes. So you're in France. What time is it?
It's 6:12 p.m.
6:12.
Yeah.
And you have work to do, so we won't keep you for too long.
Okay, I'm happy to be here.
Well, you're one of the hardest working artists that I know. And it's one of the things that I respect the most about you. And also the inventive nature that you have and the energy that you bring into your projects is so amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about you? Who are you? What do you do? You're an artist, and you're like so many other things. So why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, by the way, for the kind words. I am Cocovan. I'm a French-Iranian artist, and I am the founder of a participatory art project called The World Letter, where basically I invite the world to write a love letter to the world together. And it's not only a participatory art project, it's also like an art installation that I set up in public spaces. That looks like a big desk and a big scroll of paper, which is the world letter, and which people add to by writing their love letter to the world.
I'm going to pull up a picture of this so that people can see.
Yeah.
Because it's just so awesome. And if you stumble into it on, unintentionally in Washington Square Park or in some other, you're all over the world with this project, right?
Yeah, I went to almost 40 cities and villages around the world on 4 different continents and in 10 different countries.
What a cool thing to do. I'm going to screen share a picture. So here you go. This is you. Where are you in this picture?
In Berlin, in Germany.
This wasn't your first date, was it?
It was. So at first, yeah, it was my first day. So see on this picture, I'm actually writing the letter myself, which I'm not doing anymore. And now I really, like I said, invite the world to do it. So I'm not the person who writes the love letter to the world. It's the world who writes it. But on this photo that you're showing, it was the first time. And kind of like other participatory art projects, mine was also just meant to be like a one-day thing or just like a one-time thing. I didn't really intend for it to like be an ongoing project. And this one time I was writing my love letter to the world as like this one-time installation, except that the people that like the passers-by actually inquired to participate themselves and started writing their love letters to the world on this one scroll of paper. So it gave me the idea that, if there was a love letter to the world, it shouldn't be written just by me. It should be written by the world itself.
Yeah. So your intention at the very beginning was to set up this performance art piece where you're atop this skyscape and you're writing a letter and people are watching you write this super long letter.
Yeah.
And then what was the first person that came up and was like, can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Was there like one person that was like, who's the first person that said like, hey, can I do this instead of you? Or like, can I do it with you? Or there's that moment, right?
So definitely. So the first thing that I noticed with this particular piece, because this was not my first like public installation. I did public installations before that were like different themes and not just the love letter. Right. And the big difference between my previous pieces and this one is that this one instantly, as soon as I started writing, people just came up to me, started talking to me. Whereas the other pieces, it was very contemplative. People would just like, there were fourth wall where people would just like watch and I would be performing. but this one just like inspired people to engage. So I was very unsettled in the beginning. So there were people throughout the whole time who were just like coming up to me and talking to me. But then there was this one first guy who really was determined to participate. He was Chinese. I would say it was like maybe like 28 or 30 years old. Came up to me and it's like, I want to do this. I want to write on this letter. So I was like, okay. And I just told him to write his love letter to the world. And he wrote in Chinese. So when he started writing, I was like, wow, this makes sense, actually.
Is this by any chance the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, cool. So it's a wonderful thing because that day I had my best friend who is also a photographer and set designer, and he had his camera. So when the Chinese man was starting to write, I was just like looking at Romain, the person I'm talking about. And I was like, film, photos.
Like, okay. You're like, something, I gotta capture this.
Yeah, I knew it in my heart. That moment I will forever remember in my life, because I just felt something was happening and I couldn't quite pinpoint what it was, but I just knew it was special.
So I have up your website for the World Letter. And so I'm gonna just kind of like, let's just like go through it and we'll talk, because this is like your main project. And then we'll go backwards and talk about like the journey that you took to get here. But there's 22,000 love letters. Is that live? Is there more?
I would say there's a little less than that. I just anticipate.
You're supposed to say there's more. We got to cut this out. We got to edit it out.
No, but we're about 21,000 and like 600, I would say.
Got it. Well,
but you can definitely just cut that in the edit. But I don't to.
I'm leaving it in. It's raw. It's good. So let's see. You've got a donate page. People can donate. It's all over the place. You're trying to hit every country, right?
I'm not trying to like travel to every country, especially now. Like I really don't see.
Yeah, right.
But I'm trying to have one person from every country. So like participants, representatives almost.
So I'm looking at, this is pretty amazing. And it's massive. Have you stretched it out in its entirety, or do you just know the size based on like how much paper that you've used?
I know the size because I measure it. That actually is not the anticipation. I do it very, very precisely. I just measure the scroll as it goes. So it has like every meter, I measure it in metric.
That's so crazy. I mean, metric is
every
fine.
meter is actually marked on the World Letter. So right now, like the scroll that I have at home, I have like it's very, how do you say that? Like it's marked.
That's amazing. And did you think to do that from the beginning? You were like, I'm going to need to know how long this is. Better get my ruler out.
I don't remember when I started counting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good question, actually. I don't know. When the project kind of started and when I could feel that something was like, there was like enthusiasm towards the idea from people from different places. I was like, wow, I might actually continue this. So probably that's when I started like keeping track of things.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm going to jump off this. So the World Letter is the thing now. It's super exciting. We'll probably come back to it. But what was it like? How did you get to the World Letter? It sounds like the performance art that you did led you to change the way you were doing it. And that's what we'll come back to. But what got you to doing that first performance of the World Letter in the first place?
So like I said, I was doing a series of art installations in public spaces.
But I mean, have you always been a performance artist or a participatory public artist?
No, before that I was a musician. I was an aspiring pop singer.
Tell
So
us
that was
about
my career.
that.
Yeah,
That's
that
a
was
big part of your life and your journey, right?
big part, maybe 15 years of my life.
Mm,
So yeah, from like 16 years old to 28, 14
whoa.
years of my life. I was doing music professionally, and
Hmm.
I, yeah, was a pop singer for many years. And eventually I just realized that as much as I love music, the music industry was not, I was going to say, was not meant for me. I don't know if it's meant for anybody, to be honest, but
Fair enough.
could not stand it anymore, and I was not fulfilled. I was just miserable, honestly, trying to
Hmm.
make a name for myself in that industry. So eventually I just kind of transitioned into an art form that was not, that didn't have like a lucrative purpose. I was not looking to make money. I was not looking to appeal to anybody either. Whereas when the music, in the music industry, you always have to like follow standards, like whatever is hot right now. How do you get on the top viral? Your song needs to be like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Otherwise, like nobody's gonna stream it. So like a lot of restrictions,
Hmm.
music wise, but also like aesthetics wise, you know, you need to look a certain way. So, and also another thing that I really hated with music was that you had to convince people to listen to your music by promoting it, by like harassing people to come and see your show, or just like
Right.
follow stupid marketing rules. So I was like, if I ever have to make art again, I want to do it in a place where I don't have to force people to come to my show. I'm literally going to go directly to people.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
why that's why I picked the streets, because there always is people in the street. You don't have to force them to come to your show. You're at their show.
So
And yeah.
I think we both agree on this that to me, the public space is the greatest stage that you can be on. I mean, yes, it's awesome for you to book a stadium with 10,000 people that show up to watch you, but also there's something so magical about playing music in the New York subway or doing like a participatory art project that captures the attention of just random people that are walking by. It's not like they have to be fans to
Yeah,
show up. You
exactly.
can
No, it's
make a
magic.
fan out of nowhere. I mean, similarly, bands can do the same thing. I don't know why more bands don't do that. Maybe
Yeah.
there's an exclusivity that's needed
It's
there, but
badly looked upon. People think, oh, you're a street performer, you must be starving, or I don't know. Like it's
right,
not
right,
really
right.
cool to do.
Yeah, there's like this feeling of like elite
Yeah.
artistry that goes along with being in some, I don't know,
Art
from my
gallery.
perspective, like
Yeah.
white sterile place, like a gallery, or
Yeah.
theaters are like really nice and awesome,
It's very good because it's completely
but
underexploited. The street and street performance is, when I had this idea to bring performance art to the street, basically how it, like the creative process to transition from music to performance art in the street was, I want to do everything that I'm doing right now with music, aka build those like huge set designs for my music videos and all this like
mm,
costumes, and because my music was very visual. So I want to do all that. I want to keep doing everything that the music industry rejected from me, aka my poetic visuals. I
mm,
want to keep doing that. I don't want to have to submit it to an audience. I want to actually bring it directly to the audience, bypass the approval part. Just I do it right now directly. And so I just removed music, and like literally the set from my one of my music videos I recreated in the streets.
mm,
So it was like I was in a bed plucking petals. That was the music video. And I
mm,
pitched it to that friend that I'm talking about, Roman, like, let's do what
right.
we're doing in the music video without the music in the street. And he's like, I don't know what the hell?
That's
I told him,
hilarious.
trust me, we're going to do something like performance art, but not in a gallery. We're going to do it in the street. And I looked it up, and because I wanted to be inspired by people that had done it before. And I found
Sure.
nothing.
Yeah, there's very few people. I mean, I think that there are a lot of people that do performance on the street, but then never publish it.
Yeah.
They like don't show anyone. There's
I
not a
mean,
lot of famous artists that are like.
Yeah. And I remember very well what motivated me to continue it. I was looking at, so I was dreaming of moving back to New York. I was in LA at the time, so frustrated to be in LA because there are no streets, no public gatherings. And I was looking at the Instagram of Washington Square Park at the geotag. So I was constantly just like refreshing it to like see what was happening in New York. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I didn't see Brandon, but I saw the little statue guy.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. And I was obsessed with this guy. Because every day that I would refresh, I would see that he came back to the park and he performed again. The guy with the egg.
While you're talking, I'm like, combo hosting and producing. So I'm going to see if I can find a picture of this person because he's so
he changes
awesome.
his name all the time. So I don't know what's his Insta anymore.
I got it. I found him.
You got it?
Yeah. Is it doing it? This one.
Let's see. Yeah.
He's so intense. I just can't. As like a person, here's some more people in Washington Square Park doing wild stuff. It's really, really hard for me to imagine doing something that's so. He's just a piece of art.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing. I've seen him around in different spots, and truly, I think one of the most talented performance artists that I've seen in public space. Like what a like interesting way to activate a space or like bring the human element into art and then do it for a public audience.
Yeah.
It's like
Other guy that I love, Paperboy the Prince.
Paperboy Prince, awesome.
You know who he is?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God.
I know this guy.
I love Paperboy. Anyway, so that motivated me to move to New York. And
so you saw Paperboy, you saw this guy, and you were like, I gotta be like that.
Yeah, because he was just like he set up like a sort of tent somewhere on like Fifth Avenue, and he had a Game Boy, and he was playing Thong Song by Cisco, and just like doing a whole like routine on Fifth Avenue, just like engaging people with the Game Boy. I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do for a living.
He's one of the wildest people that I know. Let's see if we can find his Insta. We're going on a journey to see other people that are doing dope stuff in New York. But can you hear this?
I mean, excuse me.
Like he's just going for it. Let's see if we can find just one other video pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Not Paperboy, but related.
I think he is.
Wait, there he is! That's Disease Man! He wants to get off diseases! Hey, you find me! Hey, what are you doing? That's enough! That's enough! Stop talking! What are you doing? The country this time of year! Hey, stop that! Stop that! We're going to protect these people! Hey, listen! Disease Man! I got enough, okay? There's a vaccine! Everyone here is safe! No! I got it right here! I got it right here!
My God,
oh my God. He's so good. He's seriously one of my favorite people in New York. What a character. He just does the wildest stuff. I aspire to do it. I'm just not that wild in like I'm hungry. I want to be out there doing the thing. I'm just not as wild. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody's interpreting public art with their own personalities. Like I'm not neither Paperboy nor the little statue, but that's good. It's exactly what we're doing. We're like expressing our different personalities on the public place.
That's actually a really good question. Do you think that the work that you do could be done by someone else, or is it kind of uniquely an expression of you?
I mean, no, I think it could be done by other people. The only thing is it looks easy, but people would need to be trained to do it. I mean, anybody could do the world letter, but for it to actually work and to engage people to write love letters to the world in the right way and have the outcome that you're expecting, you need to actually tell people a certain thing, and there are things that you cannot tell people too. So it would need a little bit of training, but yeah, anyone could.
All right, so approximately 16 years ago, you come to the US. You're like, I'm gonna be a pop singer. Then you go from being a pop singer, you're like, I'm out. This is not my jam. Don't want to do this BS my whole life. You start doing performance art, what, 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
Yeah. So I came to the US 10 years ago, not 15.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But whatever, it's a detail.
Okay. So then, you know, like time wise, in 2 years, for you to have built the largest love letter in the world and like have so many participants is like pretty amazing. That's like a really incredible feat. And I'm curious, what, you know, now we were talking about this on the phone the other night. For people that don't know, Cocovan and I are both part of the Art Plus People network. We've actually been talking about starting it and being a part of it for like almost 2 years, because we've known each other for a long time. And, you know, we were talking about motivations the other day and, you know, joking about starting our, what was it? Food, Money, Fame brand.
Your brand.
Yeah. So it's a good brand. It's a funny brand name, but yeah. I think it does sort of play into, you know, like why do you do the things that you do? Like, let's take the world letter, for example. Like, are you doing it because it brings you to a higher spiritual level? Are you doing it because you are trying to get famous? Are you doing it because I'm going to be in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the longest love letter? Or do you do it for money? Like, is this like a huge money making engine?
So people all the time ask me, why do you do it? Especially because now it's getting like, it's a difficult job to do. It's very physical. It's like mentally just training. How do you say, like exhausting?
Yeah.
It's a lot of sacrifice. So at this point, it's almost like masochistic to keep doing the world letter. So people all the time ask me, why do you do it? I remember in particular, one time I brought the world letter to a high school in Brooklyn, in Prospect Park. And in front of the whole classroom, the teacher asked me, why? Because I was explaining that I brought the letter to this place. Like it sounded like a lot of effort. And the teacher was like, oh my God, it sounds exhausting and amazing, but like, why? Why do you do it? And I was like, I don't know, honestly. Like, I just do it. It's something that was given to me like a mission. When I was sitting in the street and people started participating, I made the decision to keep it an ongoing project, made a goal for myself to find one person from every country to sign the letter. And that was it. Once I'm committed to something, I just go to the finish line. So when he asked, why do you do it? I couldn't really answer. I was like, because I find it beautiful. I love it. I love the idea. I believe in it. And I promised myself that this letter would not be finished until the whole world has signed it. So that's it. It's a commitment. And nice. Then along the way, as I'm doing it, I'm finding reasons why I'm doing it.
So it's like a very process-based practice.
Yeah, I just love it. It makes my life beautiful. I mean, why would I not do it? I don't understand why. Yeah. It's like, it's amazing.
And that's how I feel about subway therapy.
Best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. How often do people ask you when you're on the street, or do you get this? So when I'm doing my performance art projects or participatory works, people are often asking, oh, but what's your real job?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get that question, or do people ask you like how you make money?
Yeah, all the time.
I wonder why it is.
But real job for sure, and then money, but also it's a very legitimate question. Like, I totally understand why people ask it.
So if someone is listening to this and they're super passionate about the World Letter, how can they support you and the work that you do?
So now people can make donations, and honestly, these are very important so that the project can continue. And I have launched a crowdfunding a couple months ago on GoFundMe, and I'm trying to reach the goal of $20,000 so I can continue the World Letter, bring it to more places around the world, and people can contribute to the GoFundMe very easily, and any donation helps.
Cool. I'll have some info in the show notes where people can support you, because the work that you do is just incredible and people should totally support it. Also, I don't know if you have the same feeling, but I think in France, does the government support artists that do really amazing work in public space?
I mean, it's very niche, so I don't know exactly what type of grants you can find for that.
Because I know in New York and in other places, like you can get grants from nonprofit organizations, but I know in certain other areas, like the government supports artists doing work that is to the benefit of public space. I would love to see something like that in New York. I know I talk about it a lot, but truly your work is worth supporting, and I would love to see different ways for it to be supported. I have like one more question, then we can open it up. I think Brandon is with us in the room, which is great, and he might have a few questions for you. But like, what are you doing now? You were in New York, and then you were traveling. You were where were you? You were just traveling, and then how have you pivoted your project? It's all in person. So what are you doing now that we can't be in person with each other?
So I left New York and I launched the crowdfunding campaign that I was mentioning. I tried to raise this goal so I could travel all of 2020. The goal was to travel the whole year and bring the World Letter to the 3 continents that I haven't brought it to yet, aka Africa, Asia, and Oceania. I don't know if people say Australia or Oceania. In Europe, we say Oceania.
We would say Australia.
So that was the goal. And I did have time to bring the letter to Africa. I brought it to Uganda for almost 2 months, and it went super well. I brought the World Letter to different places, villages, cities, and a refugee camp. And I was on my way to Kenya, and I was going to bring the World Letter to the Maasai, which is, a tribe. And that's when the whole COVID situation just like escalated, and I had to go to France because that's kind of the only place where I could be hosted, because I actually don't have a home base at all.
Right.
Not in the US anymore, not in France anymore. So I'm completely homeless. And I just got back to France kind of as like a default option.
Got it.
So now pivoting, just like everyone else, I'm trying to see how the World Letter could evolve from the real world into the digital world. So
just before you jump into that, I just want to say how like impressive and awesome it is that like, even though you're homeless, you're still producing. Like, you're like, I don't really have my own place, and I'm like staying on couches, or like you're in an apartment now, but it's like you're still interested in pivoting online and continuing the work. Like, that's so tight. And I mean, really, it's a lot of people are like, oh, I lost my job. I'm like, what? Or like, oh, I'm like furloughed, whatever it is. And like, you don't have any of that, but also you're still producing work. Like, that's so admirable.
Thank you. That's very sweet. No, but I'm, like I said earlier, like the why is the commitment for me, the commitment. I am committed to this letter. And regardless of my situation, I'm just going to keep continuing until I think that it's finished.
Got it.
So, yeah.
And what are you doing now? You have pivoted online, and you were just about to talk about it.
Yeah, so I just released a video that's kind of a call to action to invite people, if they want to participate to the World Letter, they actually can submit their love letters via the website now, and just basically participate to the World Letter online, just like they would in real life.
Cool. So people can get like their own piece of paper, pens, they could draw and write a love letter to the world.
Exactly. And they can scan it, upload it on the website. Eventually, I'm going to print those letters on the physical scroll of paper.
That's amazing. What do you know? Is the is it on participate? theworldletter.com/participate.
Exactly.
If anyone's watching this, you can go here to theworldletter.com/participate. You can write your own love letter. I just wanted to say that, you know, when you send me videos to check out, or when I see you producing content on your website, social media, whatever, the quality of your production is so good. How did you learn how to do that? Did someone teach you? Did you take classes?
So the music was a big part of the learning, because when you're an independent musician, you kind of have to wear many, many hats. You have to learn how to film. You have to learn how to like make up. You have to learn how to put together an outfit, edit, you know, all those things you have to DIY, because you don't have the money to hire someone to edit your video. You don't have the money to hire someone to take your photos.
Because are you hiring, you know, like I'm kind of going through your gallery here, and are you hiring people to take these photos, or are some of these from you just shooting it yourself?
So every photo, it's a different story. Like, for example, this Costa Rica photo, the first one here with the kids.
Okay.
That was a girl that I met. So every country that I go to, I stay minimum 1 month, because that's how long it takes to meet the to build a the minimum network of people that can actually sustain, to bring the letter somewhere, have people film, have people take photos, have someone to interpret. Like, you need a small team of people, but to meet those people, to have them motivated enough to volunteer and come and help you for free, you have to stay for a long time in a place to just like build relationships. So the girl who took the first photo, Mariam, she's from Costa Rica, and I met her the first week in San Jose. She told me she's a photographer. She said, if you ever need me, please call me. So that day that I did the World Letter there, called her, and she came, and she very, very kindly took those photos for free for me.
That's amazing. I mean, like when I think about doing work, generally I'll go, like when I was in Berlin last year for the International Day of Happiness, I went for a week, and that was super fun. And I was happy to be there for a week. But to think about going somewhere for a month and then developing connections, it's like such a cool way to think about doing work. Because not only are you creating work that helps people to feel good, so the work is what's awesome, but also you're creating a community that is around that work. And I just find that to be such an important thing that people should do more of.
Oh, you have no idea. Like, it's the best part of the project. It's a big reason why I keep doing the project. Like Mariam, I talk to her, Miriam. I talk to her all the time on Insta. Other people that were here that day are like big supporters of the project, huge support system.
Right.
Like, which one is this? Okay.
Social media. I'm trying to find your Instagram.
Social media link is broken.
Always working. We'll go to Instagram.
No, but like I noticed that the link was broken. So
yeah.
You can type the World Letter.
There we go. I just wanted to, do you have that video? Yeah, you do. This is the video I was talking about.
If you could write a love letter to the world right now, what would you say?
Free me.
few months ago, I launched a crowdfunding campaign to fund the next steps of my art project, The World Letter. With the money collected so far.
Like, this is what I was talking about.
368 New York. They helped me a lot.
Oh, on this video?
Not on this video, but they just like, they were so patient with me, and they let me come to the studio, which is on 368 Broadway, New York City.
Got it.
And kind of like helped me learn editing. I knew the basics for editing, but they just trained me to become better.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm always impressed when you produce stuff. I'm like, how did you get, like, how are you?
I said it doesn't language.
So like, let's see, where is it? Just even something simple like, yeah, this, where you're teaching, you're like telling people how to do it. Like, you know, what are you going to do? Here's how you do it. Here's what it should look like. Here's what it shouldn't look like. Like, it's so well done. And I don't produce content like that. It's amazing. Anyway, let's open it up. We've been talking forever. And Brandon, are you here? Do you want to jump in?
Brendan.
Hello. I was on the other side of the room organizing stories. Got to multitask.
Okay.
So Brandon's also a participatory public artist. He's in the Art Plus People family. I'm curious, you know Cocovan's work, but do you have some questions?
Not specific questions. I guess I've been really interested talking to both of you just about what this transition is like, because it's just, I mean, what we would before consider probably the core of our work of being out in public space is off the table right now. So it's just been really fascinating to see both what you both are doing, what I'm trying to do, and what other people in the space are doing to adapt to this new reality.
So just like the pivot online, because you've been allowing people to submit online stories. Yeah. Do you how specific do you get? Do you tell people to use like 8.5" 11 pieces of paper like you usually do, or is it a little different?
Fairly close. There's different paper sizes in different countries, so I'm getting different stuff there. That's not as important for me. They're all generally the same, just slightly different. I ask people to write on blank sheets of paper, keep it anonymous. And for the first time, I'm doing a specific topic. So I'm asking people to kind of just share what life is like during this quarantine for them. And they can still get pretty broad with that, but I'm trying to explore this idea that we're kind of all experiencing this new world at the same time. And so it's been fascinating to see what people are sending in.
Yeah, I know that we talked a little bit about the World Letter, and do you do a COVID-19 specific project that's love letters but also related to the pandemic? Do you do this, can you tell me a little bit about what your decision making was like when you were thinking about doing something really specific or doing something that's inviting people to think about the World Letter more broadly?
So as far as I'm concerned, I don't give people any direction besides write your love letter to the world. But for now, I don't want to give a theme to the love letter to the world. I feel like it's broad enough. And I'm surprised because the first few letters that I've started receiving, not everyone actually talks about the virus. Not really. People don't really talk about it. So it's subtle. Like people say, I will wait for you on the other side, or things like that that kind of imply that we're going through something right now.
Interesting.
Nobody says like coronavirus. And I'm glad because I feel like the coronavirus is not a very poetic word. I don't want it on my letter.
I can totally respect that.
Yeah, it's like not a beautiful word. Even I'm like, I don't like that word.
So maybe kind of what I'm thinking about when I'm listening to you talk about it is, and I think this is true for a lot of things, there's so much like Corona or COVID related things that are popping up that are like specific and overtly about it, that people end up writing things, but they would end up writing about it anyway.
Yeah.
And so it sort of denies the ability for people to do something that's normal, that has COVID in the background. I think that's actually quite beautiful.
It's just, it could be different, but the way that I feel is that I don't want to involve this virus on my world letter. I just don't like the virus. I feel like it's not beautiful.
It is cute though. If you see pictures of it, it's very round.
But it's really from like an artistic standpoint, because from like a technical standpoint, of course it's on everybody's minds. And when I write things at the moment, this is my life right now. So this is the quarantine. That's what is inspiring us. So it is in the background. And I feel like for Brennan, it's very relevant to have people express with this theme of the COVID, because that's why I love the stories, is because you can relate to them. You read them and you feel like you're not alone feeling whatever you're feeling. So everybody wants to have like this response during this quarantine, like, oh, this person is also feeling that way. So I think that's good that you gave that theme.
Yeah, that's what I love about all these different, and this was before this time too, is, Coco, you said this earlier, it's all these different expressions of, it's tapping into the same thing, but they're coming from different angles and it's being expressed in different ways. And that's what I love, is that you can have different versions as we're adapting, and each person is going to have the thing that was right for their project.
For anybody that's listening that doesn't know about Brandon's project, it's called The Stranger's Project, and he collects pieces of paper that people write their story on, and he uses the prompt, "What's your story?" and has been doing that for over 10 years, right?
Yep.
And what I really like about it is essentially you haven't changed that formula because it works. The "What's your story?" question. And I think it's the same. I feel the same way about the world letter. Like, it's very rigid in its form to a certain degree, but then because of that, it gives structure to participants. It's not like one of the things that I struggle with is like, I'm using different questions all the time, and I'm choosing different colors, I'm doing different things. I imagine having that structure, is that very helpful for you, both of you, to kind of, it's almost like within the structure, you get to be playful and you get to have the artistry of it?
As far as I'm concerned, I don't feel the need to change it. It works, it's good, and the world letter is cohesive that way. It's like a letter from 3 years ago is pretty much, it goes well with the letter that's written yesterday. You have some elements of time references, like maybe when Trump just got elected, a lot of people were talking about Trump or whatever. But besides that, it's like a timeless thing. And I kind of like it like that. And I don't want to really, I don't need to change anything. It works. I set up in the street and people come and they write love letters. Like, it's
That's cool.
Yeah, I think the structure of everything we're doing is a really big part of it. It makes it familiar for people that might see it more than once. And it's about creating sort of an architecture for people to be able to easily participate, because we're asking people that weren't planning often to do this, to stop in the middle of what they were doing and to be a part of this huge thing. And so it's, I get a lot of people when I come up and they talk about just how simple it all is. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's, and they don't know everything that goes in the behind the scenes of it. And if we get talking long enough, I get to explain how much actually goes on behind the scenes, which we all know very well. But I did have one person come up once and we were talking for a while and she was like, this is simple, but it's not easy. And I can see that. And I was like, yes, thank you. That's the perfect way to see it. It is simple, but by design.
It's like a simple idea that works, but the work to actually execute it is huge.
Absolutely.
I like that's the best things in life are like very simple. The concept, anybody can grasp it, but it's difficult to pull off. We work hard.
Yeah. I mean, there's a phrase, and it's also the title of a really fantastic podcast, 99% Invisible. And the idea that with things that are really well designed, 99% of that work should be invisible. Like once you put in enough work into it, it should look simple and easy and like it just kind of happened. But that's because all of the work that went in behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I like it.
All right. I think that's a good place to leave it off. Coco, can you tell people how they can find your work? Is there anything you want to promote? Anything that you want to share? Now would be a great time to do that, and we'll close up.
So to follow the world, follow the world letter. The handle on every platform is @theworldletter. And the website is theworldletter.com. The hashtag, if you want to look through the hashtag, is #theworldletter. It's very easy. Again, if you want to participate to the World Letter now, you can submit your letter online. I don't know how long I'm going to leave the online submissions open for, but for as long as we're quarantined, definitely people can submit their letters online. That's it, I think.
Fantastic.
If you want to make a donation to the World Letter, you're very welcome to. And URL for that is gofundme.com/theworldletter.
Perfect. Thanks so much for joining us today. For anyone that's new to this, whatever it is that you're watching it on, podcast, video,
podcast, no?
Who knows what who knows where you'll listen or experience this, but this is Creative Lunch. It's a program that's produced by Art Plus People, which is an organization that creates programming when we can go out into public space, mostly in public space, but for now in the online public space. You can check it out at artpluspeople.com. You can also see Brandon and Cocovan's work there. They're on the front page because they are celebrated members of the Art Plus People fam. You can go to Art Plus People on Instagram or, go to the website. Do it. Just go there. Subscribe to the email list, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being on, and take care.
Bye.
Bye, people.